Today we'll be taking a look at the Rebirth RDA, a project by Mike Vapes and HellVape. This product was sent to me for the purpose of this review. Let's go ahead, open up the packaging, and see what it comes with. So the first thing that you'll see when you open up the package is your Rebirth top cap and the Rebirth RDA deck. Inside this box is going to be your accessories. Let's go ahead and take that out. Now underneath everything will be a Rebirth sticker and your HellVape Rebirth RDA user manual. Inside the box you're going to have two bags. The first one is going to be your tool bag. It's going to have a flathead screwdriver, a tool for cutting your leads, and an Allen key. The second accessory bag is going to have a spare 810 drip tip that is frosted, a 510 drip tip adapter, spare O-rings, a 510 squonk pin, and spare grub screws. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the Rebirth RDA top cap. Now the top cap measures 24 millimeters in diameter. It has 16 of these honeycomb shaped airflow holes. Each hole measures 1.2 millimeters. The color that I received is purple. All of the caps are electroplated. It has this nice cobra patterned drip tip. Each drip tip does come in a coordinating color of the top cap. The 810 drip tip is your goon style. It does have an O-ring in the opening, so all of your press fit drip tips will fit into that. Looking on the inside, you can see that it does have a locking barrel, so you have a nice size cutout right there in the top cap, which will match up with the ledges here on the base of the RDA, and that will allow your airflow to lock into place but still have some adjustability for closing down the airflow holes. So taking a closer look at the build deck, the build deck is a 2-post build deck with gold-plated positive posts. Each post hole is 2.5 by 3.5 millimeters. Without the top cap placed on it, it is a 6 millimeter deep juice well when you place the top cap on, and it meets up here with the top of the airflow. You do have 8 millimeters of space. Taking a look at the side airflow, the side airflow is angled upwards, so when you're vaping on it, the airflow will come up and hit your coil at that angle. With that upward angle, it allows you to put a lot of e-liquid down there in that very deep juice well, and it makes it very leak resistant. So now we're going to go ahead and throw a build in here. So each post is slightly staggered to the right and to the left, and you can easily fit your flathead screwdriver in here right next to that airflow post. And unscrew those flathead screws. The coils that I'll be using today are the Vapeaholics Anonymous. I'm going to be putting in the Nichrome 2x27 gauge wrapped in 36 gauge. Should amount to about a 0.3, and these are series fused Claptons. So now with this handy little plastic block that I have here from HellVape, I can cut my leads to the exact length that is recommended. So I'll place my leads in, hold my coil flush, and go ahead and clip those leads. Repeat with the other coil. Then I have two coils with perfectly cut leads. So the nice thing about this really large post holes is that you can put a really big single chunky coil, or you can put two smaller dual coils in there. And I'm just going to simply place my coils in like this to start. Now obviously I don't want my coils touching and I don't want them all wonky like this, but we can go ahead and fix that after we tighten our leads down. So I'm just going to make sure that the coils are both placed evenly and then tighten my leads. Just going to place my finger on top of the coils to hold them in place and tighten down the post screws. Just going to take my coil jig, work it into those coils, and straighten them out and separate them. I'm going to lean them over that airflow right there, so as it when looking at it from this angle, you can see that the airflow is going to come up and hit straight center of those coils, and that's exactly what I want. So there's the positioning of my coils. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this on a mod, and we're going to go ahead and pulse and make sure my coils are glowing evenly. Alright, so now that my coils are glowing evenly and I've worked out all the hot spots, I'll let that cool down and then we'll go ahead and wick it up. So the cotton that I'll be using today is just a Muji cotton sheet. It's just Japanese organic cotton, and I've went ahead and cut those in about a 5mm strip. So I'm just cutting these even with the edge of the deck here. And then I'm going to lightly thin out the ends. There's a lot of space in the deck, so I don't feel I need to thin them out too much. So I'm just kind of fluffing them and making sure all the fibers are going in the same direction. Then we can trim off that extra. And then we can just tuck the wicks down. On either side of the post, just like that. Okay, so now that we have our wicks, we can go ahead and put the e-liquid in. The e-liquid that I'll be using today is Adore e-liquid banana bondage. This is an 80 VG, 20 PG, 3mg nicotine. Now you do want to be careful, as you can see, when you're first dripping on it, if your coils are right over top of that airflow, when you're dripping, you will get e-liquid coming out your airflow. So make sure to be very careful if your coils are centered right over that airflow, that when you're dripping on it, you don't drip too far off to the side. Kind of try and stay down the center there. And then I'm just going to throw some extra e-liquid down there in the center. And give it a little pulse to help it along. So what you can do if you do accidentally drip e-liquid into that airflow is you can either put the top cap on and through suction suck the e-liquid back out of the airflow, or you can just take some of that extra cotton you cut off and clean it up there when you're building on it. So I'm going to line up my airflow, and as you can see, it has these two really nice big thick rubber O-rings. I'm going to seat that down and give it a little twist, and that's going to lock it into place. So now when I turn it, my top cap doesn't spin, and it's locked all the way with the airflow all the way closed. Turning it counterclockwise will start to open the airflow. So I can have just one of those honeycomb pattern little holes. 3, 4, and then it keeps going, obviously, till it's all the way open. So here it is all the way open. And then of course if I continue to turn, then it'll turn the RDA off the mod. That's that slotted locking system on the inside of the top cap that locks down onto the RDA deck, so as that you can easily unscrew the RDA off your mod without that barrel spinning. And then once you turn it all the way, you can close it all the way off. If you're storing this in your pocket or in your purse. Nice thing is that you can shut this all the way off so you don't have to worry about any kind of leaking coming out of the sides when you're carrying it around. And then of course you can open it back up. So that is the Rebirth RDA by HellVape and Mike Vapes. Let's go back up top, have a vape on it, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. All right, so that was an up-close look at the Rebirth RDA by Mike Vapes and HellVape. So what are my thoughts? Well, let's get into the pros first. First thing is going to be the fit and finish. As always, HellVape products come through with their great machining quality, all of the accessories, the spares, the coil tool for measuring out your leads, that is a super big pro. You have a locking top cap feature. The O-ring tension on this is perfect. When you first get it, make sure to put a little bit of e-liquid on those O-rings, otherwise you may find it sticking a little bit when you adjust the airflow. But once those O-rings are lubed up, I found that the tension on this is really good. Next pro is going to be the airflow. This airflow is the smoothest airflow that I've ever tried. This nice honeycomb pattern, these tiny little 1.2 millimeter holes, 16 on each side, gives you a lot of airflow adjustability, and that's a big pro for me. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and let you listen to me vape it wide open. I'm currently vaping it with a 0.26 dual fuse Clapton build at 70 watts. As I said, tons of airflow, no restriction whatsoever when it's wide open. Wide open, it is too much airflow for me. So what I like to do is close off those first 6 airflow holes. So I have 10 airflow holes open. That gives it a little bit of restriction and helps bump that flavor up. Let's take a vape. Warm, dense, flavorful clouds. Now talking about flavor, so I've tried several different builds in this RDA. I've done single, I've done dual, and I've done 2 different styles of dual coils. I've done triple core aliens, and then I've done just regular kind of plain Jane fused Claptons. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to see how it changes the flavor, how it changes the airflow based on the size of coils that you have in there. So now all across the board, I have done 3 millimeter ID, except for the single coil. I put a fused Clapton 4 millimeter round wire coil for the single coil in there, and I gotta say I wasn't really digging this RDA as a single coil RDA, and that goes into the flavor side of it. So the reason why I wasn't digging this, although you can do single and dual coil, for me, the single coil RDA of preference is going to be the recurve RDA, which is also designed by Mike Vapes. I think he just hit it out of the park with flavor on this single coil RDA that he designed. It's got that really reduced chamber to where this one doesn't have a reduced chamber. It's quite tall. It's not the tallest RDA out there. It's on par with the iconic RDA, the Reload RDA, the Drop RDA, the Dead Rabbit RDA. Same height as all of those. So it's not a super tall RDA. It is kind of the run of the mill as far as height. It's 24 millimeters, but there is a lot of room inside that barrel. And for that reason, for single coil, the recurve definitely beats out the Rebirth RDA. Now, in dual coil, I gotta say, I'm really torn. You guys know, I have a couple favorite RDAs that I really like to use. One of them being the Drop RDA. This airflow, as far as the smoothness and the adjustability, it beats the Drop RDA. No problem there. I mean, you cannot get airflow any smoother than this, in my opinion. Flavor, though, I find I have to really crank up the wattage and tighten down that airflow to get maximum flavor. Don't get me wrong, this has good flavor just, I feel like there's a lot of adjusting, and I have to vape outside of my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is usually in the 45 to 65 watt range, very restricted airflow. For me, I've tried several different e-liquids in this one. Right now, I'm vaping the brand new limited edition PS Passion from Adore E-Liquid. PS Passion is a pumpkin spice custard pudding. And what I was finding when I was vaping this and testing this on the Recurve RDA, I was getting a lot of cinnamon and couldn't pull out those pudding and custard notes until I put it in the Rebirth RDA. Because of all that airflow, it helped knock back that cinnamon, and I was able to start getting the creaminess and the richness of the custard pudding. So as far as flavor goes, your e-liquid, whatever your favorite all-day vape is, you may be surprised at what it tastes like, because this is definitely one of those RDAs that changes the flavor profile of your e-liquid. Not in a bad way necessarily. It'll just bring out different notes. So flavor on it, like I said, there are other RDAs out there I prefer for flavor, but it does have good flavor, and that airflow is so smooth that if you're somebody that likes a lot of airflow, or sometimes you like a lot of airflow and high wattage, other times you like it to be brought down a little bit, you definitely have the adjustability with this one. Now I'm going to go into a bit of a subjective con here. So for me, I don't like the angled bottom airflow. And the reason why that is because I gotta be careful with over dripping and over squonking. Because the airflow is angled upwards to hit that coil, because it's mimicking a bottom airflow RDA. Looking at it from the outside, you would think this is a side airflow, but it is actually bottom because of that steep angle that goes up and hits the bottom side of your coils. So because of that, I'm an over dripper. I'm somebody that when I drip, I just grab the bottle and I squeeze in there. Now, what I do find is as long as I squeeze straight down the center, I'm not going to get any direct leaking out of the airflow. Problem is if I actually hit my coils, and that is because, as you saw in the down low, my coils are directly over that airflow. So any extra e-liquid that drops off of those coils drops right down in the airflow hole, and gravity, you know, basic physics, it's going to bring it down to those airflow holes, and if I don't right away vape on it, it's going to leak out those holes. So it is a little finicky with over dripping and over squonking. If you're somebody that you find you over drip a lot and you over squonk a lot, you may have problems with leaking. Now, if I'm careful and I'm more cautious of how much I squonk and how much I drip, daily use wise, I don't get this thing to leak a whole bunch, but I just wanted to point out that it's not leak proof. This is a bottom airflow RDA, so you do have to keep that in mind when you're vaping on it. Now that's my thoughts on the Rebirth RDA. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, click that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, don't forget to hit the little notification bell icon so you get notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Bye-bye.